This is StarTalk. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist. And I got with me my co-host, Chuck Nice. Chuck.
Hey, what's happening?
Always good to have you. We're still in the Coronaverse, Chuck.
We are indeed.
Yeah, that's all right. You know, it's information that matters, not how close we are to one another. To convey it.
That was just your very polite way of saying, I am so glad I don't have to be in the same room with you, Chuck.
I'm so transparent to your insights. So we've got a special guest today. His name is Kevin Lieber from Vsauce2. Yeah. Kevin, welcome to StarTalk.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor and a thrill to be here to meet you both. I think it's a little bit of a long time coming for us to come together, I think.
I think so. It was destiny, I think, a little delayed destiny, but Vsauce is such a popular YouTube space, and it was so popular you spilled out of Vsauce and made Vsauce2. Wow. So that's just an embarrassment of riches right there.
Yeah, you're like ESPN of science.
Exactly.
Wait, does that mean he's only getting the high school football games?
I was gonna say ping pong tournaments over on Vsauce2.
No, that's Vsauce 4.
The Ocho.
So, Kevin, I was just on your channel, and we were chatting about what science is and how and why it works. And I noted how science can inoculate you about being susceptible to thinking something is true that is not, or thinking something is not true that is. And so I knew you guys had some questions related to that, but then I said there was more to talk about, and I sent people over to StarTalk channel. Is that so wrong?
No, it's not so wrong because, I do have questions, and there are some things that I would love to hear you speak about. The conversation is all about knowledge philosophically, but also kind of technically and what the perimeter of knowledge actually is. So here's my question. I'll get to the point. If the entire objective of science is to know that you know something, then are we ever done knowing about something in science? Are there examples where we're done knowing about something?
Okay, it sounded like you took one too many philosophy classes. Is your next question, Dr. Tyson, what is the meaning of meaning? Is that where you're going to go next? Right. Is that really?
That'll be our follow-up collab,
I feel that. I feel that's coming. So, Kevin, I don't know if there's an end to knowledge in general, or an end to knowledge even in a specific question. But what I do know is that science does establish what is or is not true. And my best example here is you've got Isaac Newton figuring out the laws of gravity and the laws of motion, and they worked. Hell, they got us to the moon and back. All right? But they're incomplete. They're not wrong. They're incomplete. There are regimes that Isaac Newton could not have possibly tested in his day that reveal that his ideas fail in their account of nature. But you got to get in the weeds to find that. And it would take until till Albert Einstein came along in 1905 and 1915, where he advanced his ideas of the modern relativistic ideas of motion and gravity. And when he did that, what we found was that in particular regimes of high gravity and high speeds and black holes, you needed his version of the laws of motion and the laws of gravity. But you know what happens? If you plug in low speeds and low gravity to his equations, you know what pops out? Isaac Newton's equations. So what science did in this case is not change what was true. It gave us a deeper understanding of what is true. And we drew a bigger circle around Isaac Newton's ideas. Now, that being said, we already know one of the limits of Einstein's theories. He can't describe what happens at a singularity, at the center of a black hole, or at the moment the universe was born. It's like dividing by zero, okay, in his equations. Everything blows up. We don't know what to, so there could be yet a bigger circle that goes around Einstein's ideas that gets us an even deeper understanding of the universe. So for me, that's science. To say, we know this and is this, that's not the right way to even address the question.
Well, I tell you, Neil, that was painterly the way you put that. I love it. Very, very.
Wait, is painterly a compliment or an insult?
No, that's a very big compliment.
Okay.
That's a huge compliment.
It's a new word for me, painterly.
Yeah, painterly is that, in other words, that was beautifully rendered.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You explained that. It was
painterly sounds like something a sixth grader would say. I painterly the picture. It sounds like a word an elementary school kid made up.
There's no reason to tell people that I have a sixth grade education, man. But I will add to that what you said kind of sounds like science is like laundry.
Okay.
Kevin liked that one.
Okay.
That's good.
Did you like that?
You've reduced all uncertainty as to whether you have any more dirty clothes.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go, man.
Attained laundry enlightenment.
No, I'd rather think of it a different way. Because once we know something, we don't have to rehash it. We just keep moving forward. So it would be like you run out of clothes and then you just buy more clothes.
Gotcha.
Okay? And you refine, you buy more clothes and you refine one part of your wardrobe with the new ones you bring in.
Nice. There you go. Thanks for totally screwing up my little anecdote.
So, Kevin, you got more questions?
Yeah, I on that note, I love what you said, and I totally agree with it, because there are a lot of things I've researched on Vsauce2 that have popped up that way, where it's like something was right, but it wasn't quite right enough to get the full picture, and then it gets more right. And that's what the beauty of science is to me.
Right, and we don't dwell on, is it complete knowledge? That's just the wrong way to even approach the problem. So, Kevin, I can give examples all day, but let me give one that goes back, okay? How about the concept of the atom? All right, the atom, atom is Greek for indivisible, right? So there was an idea that you could break matter down into its component parts and you would get the indivisible part of it. That would be the atom of that thing. So you would have a wood atom. You would have a rock atom. Everything would have an atom, and that would be the smallest part of it that still had the properties of the whole. And it was presumed to be the thing you would reach if you kept splitting matter apart. Then we got to atoms. Relatively late in the history of science, we got to atoms. By the way, that was the 19th century into the 20th century. That's when we figured out, yeah, atoms are real. And we can break them apart. There are particles smaller than atoms. So atoms are not indivisible. Okay, so now, again, you're going deeper into the reality of nature. Then you find out even those particles can be divided. Protons and neutrons, they're composed of quarks. So you ask me today, in the year 2020, what are the fundamental particles that are indivisible in the universe? I can give you that list. They're quarks and electrons and neutrinos, and I can give you that list. But we don't know if you can still get inside of those even further. So it's the state of knowledge at the time, but I'm not going to go back and say that what we had discovered is false. I'm going to say what we knew at the time was incomplete. That's different from being false. And by the way, the Greeks said it was indivisible. That's an unfortunate term to have used. We would not have made that claim in the era of science in the last 400 years. We would say it's the smallest thing as far as we know. Because every next step you take gets you farther into the labyrinth.
So is there anything in science that we can't ever know? Like, are there things we know that we can't know? Are there any examples of that?
There are a lot of people who declare to me that science will never know some things. And I wonder, like, what's behind that urge? There are people who say science will never understand love, or science will never understand art, or science, and I'm thinking, is it because you don't want science to understand the beauty of art? Because I can imagine a scenario where one day it does. Okay? You ready? Here, I'm making this up, but stay with me. All right. So
by the way,
let's say there's
very scientific of you.
Making this up, stay with me.
I'm making this up. Stay with me. Just stay with me here.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Let me offer a plausible experiment that we're not yet ready to conduct. Chuck, does that satisfy you?
Very nice, sir. Very nice.
Thank you. All right, here we go. Let's say there's a work of art that is widely agreed to be beautiful and satisfying, and the critics agree, regular people agree. Okay. So here's what you do. You put like electrodes at every neurosynaptic intersection in a person's brain. Then you show them the painting, and you find out what lights up when they see this painting. Then you do it for the next person, and then the next person. You do this for 1,000 people. If the same part of the brain lights up for looking at that same painting, then we found the center of the brain that appreciates art. Now, to double test this, what you do is you put some crappy piece of art on the wall or just a blank sheet of paper, and then you go into the person's head and stimulate that part of their brain on purpose. Then do they say...
Evil. You are evil, sir. You are evil.
No, if you stimulate, they say, wow, this is a beautiful piece of paper. I want to frame this. This is a beautiful diagram of nothing. It brings me such pleasure. Yeah. And so if you do that, and that works both ways, I think we understand what's going on when a human being appreciates art. You could do the same for love. You can do this, and it might be more than one spot. I'm simplifying, of course, saying it's one spot of the brain. It's likely a matrix of phenomena going on in the brain. What would make it hard is if those stimuli were different in all 1,000 people's brains.
Right.
Then I don't know how, if it could be intractable at that point. And maybe then science can't really, we'd have to need a deeper understanding of the brain to make any headway there. No pun
But even
intended.
then, even with that scenario,
You got what I said? I said headway there, make some headway. And you didn't laugh.
What about identical twins, like thousands, like 10,000 pairs of identical twins from all over the world? Would that help?
In the case, that's a very good example. So I like the way you think. So what you want to do is remove the variable of two people being genetically different for how they might interpret a visual stimulus. So you get two identical twins, and if it's different for them, then I wouldn't know how to pose the next question to try to solve that. And you might say this is an intractable problem. By the way, there's plenty of frontiers of science that are still active. Like, how is it? You can study a bird, for example, and know everything about every molecule within the bird and its DNA and everything. And there it is, and it looks for food, and it mates, and it feeds its chickies, and it builds a nest, and you get all of this. But nothing about studying one bird, I don't think, tells you that when birds alight off the ground, that they flock together. Is there anything you can study about one bird that tells you what they will do in combination with other birds? I don't think so. I don't know for sure, but what I'm saying is there are emergent phenomena. If you study one termite, will you know that it builds 12-foot, 7-foot high mountains? Will you know that? So certain questions in science are not entirely reducible to looking at the component parts. Sometimes you have to step back and say, how is it all happening together? And then pose your question differently in order to answer it.
What we need is everybody watching all of this stuff and all of your stuff and to figure this stuff out for us. Because
especially the
I know
next
you're
generation.
insatiably curious, Chuck, you're insatiably curious, and we need more people on board to satisfy all that curiosity.
So is it that we're saying all scientists need like a lab jester, like Chuck, who pokes fun at everything you're doing?
That is so fun. I will never again. This will be the moment. Let me write this down, the time and date here, where I discovered that I am a lab jester.
The court jester, you have a lab jester.
I love it. That's what.
And since you're curious, you'll know what questions to ask to be funny. Yeah.
Well, listen. As long as being the lab jester doesn't mean that if you tell a bad joke, you end up with like sulfuric acid in your face.
In the acid bath. Yeah,
Right,
we don't behead you. We just dissolve you.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, what happened to Chuck? Oh, that solution over there? See that solution over there? Well, that used to be him.
There's just a hat floating. So, Kevin, we're running short on time. But what other you had a couple more questions, I thought, did you?
One last big question that I have is what puts a limit on knowledge? Because I know that we touched on that a little bit, but is there anything in your mind that like clearly puts a limit on knowledge, at least for today?
For today's limit.
Today's limit.
So your capacity to make a measurement. So here's a limit. And getting back to the sort of philosophy of science here. So what we understand about the world and what we know about the world is as it comes to us through our methods and tools of investigation. If there's a way that nature wants to communicate with us, and it's not coming through the tools that we have invented, there's a good chance we just might miss it. Unless, of course, it's tapping you on the shoulder, right? But think about it. Our ideas about how nature works are based on the answers we got from the questions we posed. Not from things going on that are answers to questions we didn't pose, because we might be missing those. Now, for that reason, in my field, and I'm sure many others, when we design an experiment, there's always sort of a serendipity mode where the thing just makes measurements and it looks randomly on the sky, or you pick a random spot and you don't target a purpose for that observation. Just in case something shows up that you didn't ask for or hadn't looked for. And so that's a very important part. So, for example, your audience might be familiar. There's a famous photo called the Hubble Deep Field, which was the deepest window into the universe that had ever been obtained. The Hubble telescope went on one patch of sky and hammered it for hours and hours and hours, building the signals of the dimmest galaxies there. And in this tiny patch, there are galaxies clear to the edge of the universe. There was resistance to using precious telescope time to take that picture, because we say, you're going to put it in a random spot in the sky? Let's put it in an object we care about. There's a galaxy here that is my favorite galaxy, and I did my PhD thesis on it, and I want more data on it. And how about this planet or this gas cloud? And the director of the telescope, who has discretionary time for just this kind of need, said, nope. I'm putting it in a random spot in the sky that's the most uninteresting part of the sky up there. They put in effort to find out how uninteresting that part of the sky is, aimed the telescope, out came the Hubble Deep Field, one of the most cited telescopic images in the history of telescopes. And so, you don't want to be your own source of the limits of your own knowledge, and try to keep the pathways open for new phenomenon to reveal themselves to you. And in that sense, maybe there is no limit. The limits is only on how imaginative you are about how to make the measurement in the first place.
Well, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much. I really
Kevin, don't be such a stranger. We should do this again. And like I said, we love some Vsauce. It's some of my favorite videos all over YouTube are on Vsauce. I just want to tell you that. So
that means a lot. Thank you so much.
So not only does Vsauce and Vsauce2 have some of my favorite videos on all of YouTube, this collaboration exists now in both places. All right. I spent some time visiting Kevin on Vsauce2, and you can go there right now, just as we had him visiting us on StarTalk. So it's time to bid farewell. And as usual, I do so asking you to keep looking up.